Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
Attention all campers.
The All-American Spook Show welcomes you to enroll in Camp Spook Show this summer. We have activities for all ages, including archery, canoeing, swimming, and
Running for your lives.
Well, we figured what better way to start this episode of Cult Corner off than with the title. Well, I guess it's kind of a title track. The name of the song is Olympiad/Meatballs by Rick Dees and his gang of, I think it was Gang of Idiots, whatever the hell the name of his band was. They would best be known for their super hit in the late 70s, Disco Duck. But maybe today, I don't know, you might know, you may or may not listen to it. Rick Dees actually does, like, I think he basically kind of took over for Casey Kasem and the weekly top 40. So I think he still does that. It's like a syndicated radio show. But yeah, that's him. That's the same dude singing the Meatballs song. Well, not this lady, but yeah, I guess it's him going Meatballs. Yeah, but anyways, so this is the latest edition of Cult Corner, the latest Spook Show, or edition of the pod. Yeah, what the fuck? You know what this is? Goddamn, this is this is the All American Spook Show podcast. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Donny.
Hey.
And the Professor Smoke.
Balls.
All these balls got me thrown off. It shifted my focus. I'm not on my game. But anyway, so this is the latest edition of the podcast. This is the latest sub-series of Cult Corner, and we spun the wheel a couple weeks ago over on Deadline Horror News, and this is what we landed on. This was my choice, to watch Meatballs from 1979. Of course, we're continuing Camp Spook Show here as well. This is the second episode since we began last week with You Might Be the Killer. So hopefully, I think we're all going to kind of probably like this one a little bit more than we like You Might Be the Killer. I don't think that's much of a stretch to say that.
No.
But before we get in deep on this one, I'll go ahead and throw out some of the usual information. You can contact us at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. You can follow us on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook. We're on the Slasher app, Instagram, by searching for All American Spook Show. There's links. There's a Linktree link down in the show notes that should take you to all those things, plus our TeePublic page. We have logoed merchandise and other cool designs available over there. And of course, our YouTube page, where podcasts get uploaded there as well. But every Wednesday night live at 9 p.m. East, we do Deadline Horror News, where we go over the latest horror headlines and everything. You don't want to miss that. And of course, the big thing is our patreon.com/AASpookshow. You become a patron over there. We have levels starting at $1, $3, all the way up to $1,000 Spook Show Insanity level. Bonus video minisodes every Tuesday, including the Library of the Professor. Bonus podcast every month, Crapster Piece Theater, Spook Show Rewind, written articles, all kinds of cool stuff over on patreon.com/AASpookshow. So you don't want to miss any of that. Once again, the Linktree link to all that is down in the show notes. So please go check that out and please become a patron. Please.
Oh my God.
We need money to keep this going. It's draining us dry. Donny has such a high salary that you need to help us cover it to keep him on the show. So,
oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, this is Cult Corner. This is Meatballs from 1979. So, before we go any deeper, I'll go ahead and toss out the trailer for that.
You saw what he did to Saturday Night. Now watch Bill Murray demolish Summer. See 300 kids from the city escape to the woods for a summer of wholesome fun in the sun.
I'm the program director, Jerry Aldini.
Is that a bra you're wearing, or are you expecting an assassination attempt? And I have what doctors call very active glands.
Tripper, is there something seriously wrong with you?
Meet the head counselor who knows the facts of life, but forgot them.
What the hell's going on here?
So this year, each camper will stalk and kill his own bear in our private wildlife preserve. These are the camp rules. Maury would like you all to take a look at these. Be in here if you want to check these out a little bit later. Cut the leg.
Okay.
Yeah, for now. But if you don't win, we cut it off. But more important than the score of this game is to score at the big social at our place tonight.
It's not how you play the game, but how you win that counts.
I'm talking to you with the exceptionally round hair.
The country for the glory of the human race. It just doesn't matter if we win or we lose. It just doesn't matter.
The real excitement, of course, is going to come at the end of the summer during Sexual Awareness Week. We import 200 hookers from around the world, and each camper, armed with only a thermos of coffee and $2,000 cash, tries to visit as many countries as he can. And the winner, of course, is named King of Sexual Awareness Week.
You'll be cheering for Bill Murray this summer in Meatballs.
All right, so there you go. So I guess before we dive headlong into this one, and before we get into the background information or whatever, Donnie, what's your history with this? This can't be the first time you've ever seen Meatballs.
Definitely not. No, I've seen this movie probably a handful of times. This was probably maybe the fourth or fifth time I've seen it. I've seen it, randomly on, probably TBS or something on like network, just on,
or maybe local TV or something. Yeah.
Yeah, just local TV, whatever's on. Of course, it was all chopped up and everything. But yeah, I've seen it on, VHS. I've seen it on fucking DVD. Watch it streaming. But this is always, just great memories. Watching this with my brother and just growing up watching it. Yeah.
What about you, Smoke?
Probably same as Donnie. Basically, it's probably seen it again, maybe 4 times or so. But all of those times, with the exception of this time that I just watched it again, they were back in the 80s and maybe in the early 90s. Maybe I saw it one time, but so this was the first time I'd seen it since early 90s or late 80s.
Yeah, same.
But I've forgotten a lot of details about it.
It's been a while for me, but it's been way sooner for me than it was for y'all. I've seen this like in the last 10 or 15 years. I bought this on DVD like early on. This is like one of my, probably first 20 or so DVDs. Because that's the one that I still have, the DVD that got released in 1999, I believe, when I looked up the release information there. That's the one that I have. This movie was released on VHS and Selectavision back in the 80s. But then it was finally released on DVD in 1999. Then a special edition DVD was released in 2007. And then it finally got released on Blu-ray in 2012. So even that's been 10 years ago since it was released on Blu-ray. So yeah, this is that's why it's on Cult Corner. This is a cult classic. My history with it is probably about like y'all's. I probably watched it on local TV, edited back in the late 80s, early 90s, and then I bought that DVD and I've probably watched it a time or two since then, but it has been a while. It was one of my favorites growing up for sure. Some of the background information that I was able to dig up, some of the usual information I should say. There was an alternate title that I thought was interesting, although I couldn't find the origins of the alternate title. Like it didn't say where this was an alternate. Maybe it was a working title. I'm not sure, but the title was just Summer Camp. Simple enough, right?
I'm glad they went with Meatballs.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's a little more memorable.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, because really it doesn't make any sense. So, you're just like, what the hell does Meatballs have to do with it? If nothing else, you'd be like, that's interesting. I got to see what this is about, right? Although I'm sure the selling point at the time, because this movie was released June 29th, 1979, was the fact that this was the first starring role for Bill Murray. And, he's coming hot off the heels of Saturday Night Live, with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and all those guys, some of the hottest acts, and Belushi, some of the hottest acts going, right? And this was his first, this was his first starring role. He had been in some other, like some short videos and bit roles and other things, and I think he'd even done some voice work and stuff. But other than SNL, this was like his big coming out party, Meatballs. So I'm sure that was one of the biggest draws back in 1979. But it was released that summer by Famous Players, CFDC, which is like the Canadian Film, basically the Canadian Film Board, or whatever the hell that stands for. But it's a wholly Canadian film, basically. And Halliburton Films, distributed by Paramount Pictures. It was rated PG with a total runtime of 1 hour and 34 minutes. On IMDb, it's listed just straight up as a comedy. It was filmed at Camp White Pine in Halliburton, Ontario, Canada, and some other points around Montreal, Quebec, Canada, from what I can tell, August 7th through September 13th of 1978. So, pretty much damn near a little less than a year until it actually got released is when they filmed this. And from what I can tell, the budget ranged somewhere between $1.2 and $1.6 million. But, especially for the time, very impressive. A worldwide gross of just over $43 million.
Yeah.
So this was a certified smash hit, even somewhat by today's standards for a movie made that cheap, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, $43 million. They made their money back and then some. That particular weekend that it came out, I've got a brief box office, not even a top 5. This is just a top 3. Because, they weren't as good about keeping up with such stats back then, at least that we look back on. This was number 3 from what I could tell. And its opening weekend, this would be domestically. So here in the U.S., it only made $77,000 in this first weekend. Number 2 that weekend was the first Alien movie, which it actually moved down from number 1 for the latest Bond movie, Moonraker. Moonraker was number 1. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, obviously Alien and Moonraker went on to, a lot of success. And so did Meatballs. But yeah, that's just the little brief snapshot there because we don't have the complete box office there. But it had various releases that we just went over a second ago. And it actually had 3 sequels. Meatballs Part 2, which came out in 1984, which was on the poll for Crapsterpiece here for the month of June, but it got beat out by old Ernest Goes to Camp. So Ernest P. Worrell wins again. But then in 1986, 2 years later, Meatballs 3, Summer Job was released. And then 1992, Meatballs 4 came out. And I think that one had Corey Feldman in it.
I don't know. One thing I was reading is that Meatballs 3 is the only one that has a direct story reference to the original. Yeah,
none of the others tie together. That one had another guy playing Rudy Gurner. Remember the little kid, kind of the main kid that Bill Murray befriends in this one.
Yeah.
I guess there's an older version of Rudy Gurner in that movie, and that was played by Patrick Dempsey in that movie from 86. So yeah, but that's the only connection any of these Meatballs movies. I guess they wanted to kind of turn it into a National Lampoons type of thing, maybe, where there's like different stories of different camps, going on with these.
I guess.
But talk about, we were talking about that a little off air before we started recording. We want to talk about a hard left turn from this movie to Part 2, right, Smoke? I mean, 2 different kinds of movies altogether, really.
Totally different atmosphere, storyline. I mean, just quality of script. Yeah.
Well, that's putting it mildly.
It's got that goddamn alien in it.
Yeah.
That goddamn alien.
As a kid, when I watched that movie, I was 10 years old when it came out, and that was the funniest thing to me when that alien lifted off the ground.
What
was like smoking
what the whatever. Fuck was that? Like, was it supposed to be like some kind of comedic take on E.T. or something? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it had to.
It came out in '82, and I believe I think we looked it up. Maybe that I can't remember. If it was 83. Maybe
No, that one came out in 84. In 1984.
84.
Yeah.
E.T. got re-released again too. It was so I remember it being popular enough before it ever even got on VHS. It had been released a second time in the theaters.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Until it finally. So it was still very much in the consciousness, I think, of the public. And I that's the only thing I can surmise from that is that it was just a takeoff of E.T. Yeah. I don't know why else they would have had it in.
Yeah, I'm completely blanking on that one movie that's like silly as shit like that with the alien in it. Mac-and-Me. God damn it! It's kind of like
on the Crapster Peace poll, the very first one.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. That was back in I think February or something.
That was later though, right? A little bit later.
Oh yeah. Mac-and-Me was like closer to the late 80s.
Mac-and-Me was like 89, maybe 88.
Yeah, it's late 80s, something like that. But yeah,
still no excuse.
That was just that time period, man. They're like E.T. was such a fucking smash hit that everybody tried to cash in with their own cute little alien thing, their little spin on it. And woof.
Another one I could think of too at that time was Explorers. I don't remember if that was 84 or 85 or 86 or something. Yeah, again, that they went out and I don't know if you remember Explorers where they build the spaceship out of the tilt-a-whirl thing.
Yeah.
Because they find this little orb that can like power the ship, so they go up in outer space and then they meet aliens, of course. Humorous aliens that they,
God,
but
I completely forgot about that. Good Lord. Thanks for putting that back out of the memory banks. Go back in. Go back in. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Like we always say, well, we'll get to that eventually. But anyways, this movie was directed by Ivan Reitman, who obviously, went on to bigger and better things. Even, although this was successful.
First feature.
Yeah. He was.
This is his first big budget one, right? Or his first studio film. But I remember one he did before this. Now, at the time, the earliest movie I'd seen this, but it was Cannibal Girls, that Grindhouse movie, basically, all the way back in '73 that he did that one. And I guess he just did writing and producing until this movie, right? Which he wasn't even going to direct anyways. But he wanted who did he want to do it? He wanted
John Landis. He wanted John Landis to do it. Yeah. Him and Harold Ramis both wanted John Landis, but he turned it down. Obviously,
was this around the same time that American Werewolf in London? When was that?
Well, Blues Brothers
was after that, right?
81.
Okay,
I think.
Wanted to do this. Landis. He was working on Blues Brothers and couldn't do Meatballs because of that.
Okay, well, he made the right choice.
I decided to do it himself.
Now this was the start of a pretty good little string of films that Ivan Reitman directed, though, because right after this, 2 years later was Stripes, and then of course the biggest one probably of his career, Ghostbusters, 1984. For some reason, Legal Eagles is stuck in there, but then he did Twins, Ghostbusters 2, Kindergarten Cop, and then it started to fall off pretty hard after. I guess you could argue it started with Kindergarten Cop, but yeah, it fell off pretty hard after that. Like. And unfortunately, Ivan Reitman is no longer with us, by the way. He passed away. And I think we covered that on Deadline Horror News.
Rather recently,
yeah. It happened back in February of this. No, it was this year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, February of 2022 when he passed. So, yeah. Unfortunately, he's no longer around. But, I mean, he produced a ton of stuff, too. So, obviously, leaves a huge lineage of films and things that all of us love. The writing credits on this one, it was written by Lynn Blum, Daniel Goldberg, Janice Allen, and Harold Ramis. Now, of course, Harold Ramis will be best known as Egon from Ghostbusters. Yeah. But he had a pretty good, successsul career. Other than
as an actor.
Yeah, well, even beyond as an actor, as a writer and a director and producer himself. I mean, he's got double the writing credits that he did as as acting credits. Mm-hmm. I mean, I believe he directed Groundhog Day, right? I kind of think that's where him and Bill Murray, if I'm not mistaken, had a little bit of a falling out.
Yeah, I think that's when they did.
Yeah, after Groundhog Day, but I mean, once again, unfortunately, he's no longer with us either. He passed back in February of 2014, so it's already been. It's hard to believe it's already been 8 years since Harold Ramis passed away. But
wow,
yeah, but it's the movie stars, of course. I mean, like. We can go down the list. I mean, I'll list off a few here, but really all you need, it starts and stops with Bill Murray, right? I mean, like, he's the biggest star, bar none, of this film. Obviously, like we said earlier, he got his beginnings in SNL and really his feature length right here, but ever since then, all the way up to this day. The dude just keeps cranking them out. I mean, obviously he was in the first two Ghostbusters movies, and that first Ghostbusters launched them all, really. But he's been in a ton of other movies since then, like Lost in Translation, Rushmore, Moonrise Kingdom, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. You know, he kind of got in with that crowd of what is it, Wes Anderson?
Art House.
Yeah, like the Wes Anderson movies and stuff like that. He's made a ton of those with him. A lot of good stuff. I mean, like he's kind of made that more serious turn. I would say probably sometime in the late '90s, early 2000s, where he's still comedic. He's still doing his thing, but like he really does more serious type of fare more often than not now. And then he'll occasionally sprinkle in the comedy. You know, like basically Bill Murray just does what Bill Murray wants to do. And even starting here, if you think about it, in this movie, this is more like, all right, Bill, it's a summer camp movie, and we just want you to act like yourself.
Yeah.
I bet you half of this was improv.
Yeah. That carries through in some of these scenes, like you mentioned. Well, actually, we didn't mention. We do have record of it, but the whole speech about it doesn't matter if we win. That basically all of that just has to be improv.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It also stars Harvey Atkin as Morty. Remember they keep joking that they keep saying his name's Mickey. It's Morty. Hi, Mickey. That's like the running joke throughout the entire. I saw something where apparently that joke comes from the fact that apparently I guess Mickey Mouse's original name was Mortimer Mouse. Yeah. So every time they mention Morty, they say, "Hey, Mickey," but it's kind of a deep cut. But I guess that's kind of where the gag comes from. It also stars Kate Lynch as Roxanne. She's basically the not quite his girlfriend, but she's the love interest of Bill Murray's Tripper. Who else? You got Jack Blum as Spaz. You'd have to wonder if that's some relation to Lynn Blum, one of the writers, right? I didn't look that up, but there's two Blums.
Where he was actually the casting director for. He kind of doubled as the casting director for Canada.
Okay, there you go.
Not the entire country, just this film.
The entire country.
I'm in Toronto. I'm over here in British Columbia.
So he casted everyone that lives in Canada, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, Russ Banham as Crockett, Christine DeBelle as AL, Sarah Torgov as Candace. I mean, really, like a few recognizable faces, but not many that went on to bigger and better things. Yeah. Really, I mean, it's a fairly small main cast.
This was also like a lot of them. It was not only Bill Murray's first starring movie, but it was a lot of theirs too.
Yeah.
More than a handful.
And you can tell. I mean, it's that kind of movie, but it all lends itself to that. So it's not like anybody did a specifically horrible job. They all did their roles well, but you can tell that it's a young cast. Probably a lot of their first experiences on a big movie, whatever. So you kind of get what you get. Really, that's all I have. Was there anything else you guys wanted to point out before I go through the plot summary and then we get into the heart of the matter?
No. This was shot at like you mentioned, Camp White Pine. Camp White Pine is actually still open and running today. That was kind of shocking. Well, I don't say shocking, but I guess you can always renovate those damn cabins or whatever. But
hell, some of those places probably don't even renovate that often. They're just like, well, they're supposed to be rustic cabins, so they just kind of leave them that way.
Yeah, but there was a 2008 movie called Camp Rock that actually used the same exact camp location.
Really?
Yeah, which I'm sure is on our list of...
we put together a list of movies so we can kind of play with it, and that was on there.
It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. Ice cream, candy, lemonade too. And there's a hot dog waiting for you. The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. All the great food is stealing the show. Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
For you listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So I went over to Audible and I just typed in Meatballs to see what would pop up. And surprise, surprise, it's got nothing to do with this film that we are talking about today. The first thing that pops up is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs / Pickles to Pittsburgh by Judy Barrett. That one's 26 minutes long, so obviously that's a kid's book, and I think that's what they made those movies, the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I guess that's the basis of the movies. The Incredible Adventures of Jack Flanders by Meatball Fulton. It's almost 5 hours long. And let me see, is anything more interesting here? Well, that's another one by Meatball Fulton. This dude's name is Meatball Fulton. Let's see, Meatball Sunday by Seth Godin. That one's almost 5 hours long, and I don't know, it's like a marketing book or something, but I don't know what the hell this is. It's just some dude in like a Chef Boyardee's hat, and it says Meatball Sunday. Is your marketing out of sync? I don't know. But anyways, if any of those things sound interesting to you whatsoever, and they didn't really to me, unfortunately, this time around, you can go to download your free audiobook today by going to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook. So there you go. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Donnie. You can read that.
Yeah.
It's a kid's book.
Good.
It's a kid's book. It'll take you 10 minutes to read it.
I don't give a shit.
Fuck them kids, says Donnie.
Fuck them kids.
All right.
So, speaking of fuck them kids, so it seems that, the parents just kind of ship these kids off and like, we'll see you at the end of the summer. Yeah, that's what he says to his kid.
Yeah. And you never really got much of the story there with, what's his name? Rudy, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rudy. You never really got much backstory. Like, why is he so sad and downtrodden? Like, he didn't want to be at camp. Well, why? Like,
it was they were playing soccer, and then like he sucked at it, and then they made fun of him for sucking
but even
at
before that, when his dad's like, well, we'll see you, I'll pick you up at the end of the summer or whatever, like, it already seemed like he was down and out even before that. So like, it seemed like there was a story to be told there that they never went back and, my dad beats me, something, you never got any of that.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to get too heavy with it. I don't know. But before we get any further, now I've got a couple plot summaries here. One is just a sentence that IMDb puts up, but then I've got another one that someone else posted up. The sentence is wacky hijinks of counselors and campers at a less than average summer camp. Yeah, that's about it. We'll see you next time for the burning. That'll be next week. The other one is a little paragraph. This was posted by Wallace Entertainment over on IMDb. Rudy goes to summer camp full of rowdy teenagers. The head counselor is Tripper Harrison, the prank-pulling, girl-seducing, fun-loving, teasing both his boss and the counselor. That didn't make any sense. Teasing both his boss. It just kind of trailed off there.
Teasing his balls.
Teasing balls.
Balls.
Teasing both his boss and the counselors at the nearby rich kids camp. He and everyone else are sick and tired of always losing the Camp Olympics every year, and Tripper must encourage all campers to try their hardest, and even convince young Rudy that this may be his chance to feel better about himself. I don't know, that might be sugarcoating the movie there a little bit.
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Well, I guess in my notes, right off the top, we can start right at the very, very beginning when Tripper plays makes the announcement that everybody wake up campers or counselors or whatever the hell, and then he plays the national anthem, and it's just some random bagpipes. It's not even like the national anthem to bagpipes. It's just here's like 30 seconds of bagpipes. All right, now on to the train.
And that's how the credits start.
Are you ready for the summer?
Oh no, they start the credits with the bagpipe song, right?
Yeah, maybe. Like, I think you're right. I think.
And the Meatballs title comes over the bagpipes.
Yeah, I think the credits actually start like right out the gate when like Bill Murray's waking up and I think you kind of start to see him then, but yeah.
And then then it goes into the other song, the summer.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're in for like right out the gates. It's just pure Bill Murray. Really, I mean, I'm telling you, I didn't see it anywhere, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if like 70% of this is quote unquote scripted improv. Like, all right, Bill, here's where we want you to go, and then just let him do his thing,
I guess for some fucking reason, there's a reporter there talking about Camp Mohawk and how expensive it is. He's like, yeah, this is $1,000 a week.
Yeah. And then
$1,000 a week.
And then Tripper comes up as the activities director or whatever of.
Yeah, I forget what he says his name is. Anyway.
It's some kind of activities director, some fake ass name, and
yeah.
And then he starts going off about all these activities that they have planned, and then one of them was Sexual Awareness Week. Well, yeah. I love that. That's probably one of the funnier parts.
That was hilarious.
Because the setup is like basically, all right, we give each kid $1,000 and a thermos full of coffee, and we ship in 200 hookers or whatever. And then you have to travel the world, and whoever wins gets to rape and pillage the nearby village or something. And the reporter's like, "My God, this is incredible."
Yeah, that was awesome. This movie was rated PG, to have all. I mean, granted, PG in the '80s was completely different.
Yeah, well, there was no PG-13, right, Smoke?
Yeah, at that time, no.
Until Gremlins and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom prompted one.
Yeah.
So something else that he mentioned. Well, yeah, that reporter mentioned it was $1,000 a week. So $1,000 a week
to go to Camp Mohawk.
Yeah, go to
the rich camp across the lake.
So $1,000 a week in 1979 equates to just under $4,000 a week in today's money.
Yeah.
The average summer, because basically what they, what it seems that they did was just send these kids away for the whole fucking summer at the summer camp.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, the average summer lasts 94 days or roughly about 13 and a half weeks. So the total cost of Camp Mohawk per kid was over $53,000.
You mean adjusted for inflation?
Yeah, adjusted for inflation. Today's money.
God.
Over 50.
Well, even then, let's just say, like you said, 13 and a half weeks at $1,000 a week would be, $14,000. Even in back 1979 money. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, even in today's money, you're just like, fuck that.
Maybe that's part of the gag, right? Like, well, this is, this wouldn't really be a thing. So let's fuck it.
Yeah,
$1,000
then
a
again,
week.
That was the rich kids' camp.
Yeah, still though.
Yeah.
Even then, that's crazy. And you mentioned that there, like shipping them off for the summer. I made that point too when I was writing stuff, that's when I was just kind of thinking about the movie, or just the premise, not the movie, but the premise of summer camp. So basically, like, they set it up like, all right, school is over. Now it's time to ship your ass off for the summer. Like, we're going to send you there for the entire summer, and then as soon as you get out, it's time to go back to school. It's like, that's fucking depressing. If you think about it, your damn parents don't want you around that bad.
I don't know.
Ship this fucking kid off for, I don't want to spend any time with you whatsoever.
I was at summer camp for like 2 weeks, and I was in like maybe 5th grade.
I remember going like a couple random camps. I think the longest I ever went to one was like a week. Most of them were less than a week. So I guess my question is a full summer camp even, like, I guess it's one point or another it was a thing, but is it still a thing? Like, if I'm just going to send my kid off for 2.5 months.
Idea.
Like, is that?
I'm sure it is a Camp Mohawk.
Yeah.
If you got $53,000.
Yeah. Smoke, did you ever go to summer camp?
No, I never did go to summer camp. Just one time at band camp, though. No.
Oh, where'd you stick the flute at? All right.
That was a time for experimentation in my younger days. The whole premise of an entire summer, though, that just seems extreme. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
What's funny though? It's a running gag for my folks and I, but they said, "No, you make sure to write every day." And I said, "Yeah, I'll write every day." I was like 10, and I wrote every day. I just never fucking mailed the damn things. Yeah, and then they're like, when they go to pick me up, they're like,
where's the
letters? You to write. You didn't say anything about fucking mailing them.
Yeah.
So I had all these fucking letters I had written.
So you come and give them like a shoebox full of letters. Here you go.
Yeah.
I don't want to know now.
Yeah. But no, I guess kind of getting back to the movie, when I guess Tripper gets on the intercom, says, the mystery meat contest.
Yeah. So and so, little Joey wins by saying it's some kind of beef.
Some kind of beef, yeah.
He was close enough.
Last week was veal, or last night was veal.
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
mystery
veal.
meat
It
contest.
was veal. What did he say?
What do you say? Win a Chrysler, whatever.
I think it's, yeah,
go see more.
Yeah, I think he said it was a Chrysler Cordova. Go see Morty to cash your prize in.
I assume that was Morty's car. I
Yeah,
guess Morty.
probably. Yeah, probably.
He seems like.
Yeah, like that's one of the running gags in the movies to keep fucking with Morty. And so then the one gag where they pick him up while he's asleep in bed, they tie him to the bed, then pick the bed up and then tie it into.
Sideways,
they don't tie him to a tree. They tie him in the trees with his nightstand. And his nightstand still got like his alarm clock and his medicines and shit like sitting on it, like, but it's right beside him. And then that's, of course, it's like Parents' Day at the camp, so that's when everybody's driving by and honking and stuff. But then it's just a running gag throughout the rest of the movie, like that they put Morty in his bed in different places. Like, when at one point he's just across the street outside of the camp. At the very end, they put him on like a little, like kind of a tied log float and just push him out into the lake. So he wakes up in the middle of or in the morning, floating in the lake. He's just sitting on that float out in the lake. In the credits, like everybody leaves. All right, goodbye, and then he's floating out in the lake, but he keeps falling off. Like, and it was like it's on purpose. It's like he just like he gets up like, oh, son of a bitch, and then falls down into the lake, then gets back up there and kind of looks around, then falls back in again, and like this plays out at least 3 or 4 times during the credits.
One of my favorite quotes was actually when they were playing the basketball game. Tripper's got the guys in the huddle, and he says, "Bruce Lee, patron of self-defense, pray for us."
Amen.
And that's their little. That was awesome.
I think it's one of many lines that I'm almost
yeah.
positive were just improv by him, like in the moment, like the big speech, what we alluded to earlier,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter speech. That just feels like the whole thing was just made up on the fly.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like
totally.
just fuck it. Like, Bill, here's what we want you to, here's a brief outline of what we want you to talk about, and go. And then they just cut the camera on, and he just does that for 30 minutes. Because even the kids and stuff that are there, you can tell the way they're looking at him and the way they're laughing. That what he's saying, like, this wasn't scripted. He's just he's going.
Just
he's just saying it. And then they all decide to start chanting along with it.
I mean, we make a lot of ball jokes and in here, but when he's talking about they're having I guess it was the eating competition between him and the stomach.
Yeah.
He says, "Look at them steaming wings."
Look at them teeny wangers.
Oh yeah. fucking no holds barred makes a reference.
Yep.
Look at them tiny wangers.
Tiny wangers. Look at them. It ain't even worth it. I guess we can wrap it up by saying, like, what about the ending? I mean, it kind of seemed abrupt. Like, this was a fast summer, right? Like, it's like the whole summer. I know, it's only an hour and a half movie, but it's just like they're just chugging along and certain things happen. Like, all right, well, that's it. Rudy, I'm glad you found some self-confidence. It's time to go check out. And then he just gets on a moped and drives away.
Yeah, pretty much.
It felt more like you said, like a normal summer camp movie where you go for a week as far as all the events they had. What were they doing the whole summer? Were they doing the exact same thing the whole summer, I guess?
Yeah.
The same events every day for like 2 months?
Yeah, it all climaxed with the Olympiad, right? Like, that was the big moment. Yeah. They have this big Olympics between Camp North Star and Camp Mohawk. And, of course, Camp North Star, wins. Because Rudy, the kid that was made fun of, and everybody's like, "Oh, this kid ain't worth a shit." Even like most of the counselors are just like, "Oh God, it's him," But of course, there's the big redeeming moment, and then that's pretty much it. Like, all right, you found yourself. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Something else is now. Granted, this was actually something I had found that I just now remembered. There was something I read where. This was filmed at an actual summer camp with the actual kids that were at the summer camp. And, they were all excited to be, I guess, part of the movie, I guess, for the first like week.
Mm-hmm.
But then they got tired of the film crew, like, because they wanted to enjoy their summer and, do all the stuff at the summer camp. And meanwhile, sometimes the crew would be late doing stuff, and, they'd want to do all these, all the activities they had planned, but that they'd be late
the
like
film crew
2 or
is
3
like,
hours.
Here, stand back here and hold this frisbee for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
While we get these reasons.
Yeah, and they got other stuff they wanted to do.
Yeah. You just stand over here and act like you're having fun, but not actually have fun.
Yeah, they actually some of the kids, from what I read and understood, they actually tried to sabotage some of the fucking footage.
Yeah. I mean, this was it's a classic. I mean, like,
yeah, it is.
It's harder to talk about like a pure comedy like this, because like you're really kind of laughing along with the movie as opposed to like poking holes and laughing at certain parts of it. But yeah, it's very well done, for the time, and I think it holds up fairly well. I mean, there's a couple of jokes in here that you probably could not get away with in a movie today, but not as many as, for instance, Blazing Saddles or something like that, right? I mean, there's
yeah.
Blazing Saddles ain't going to happen again, but this, they could make some version of it. You put it in perspective of when the movie was made, like we've brought up a couple of times on these types of movies. It just kind of is what it is and you don't dwell on it. I guess we've pretty much said all we're going to say as far as, the things that we wanted to point out and everything in our roundtable discussion. And I'm sure, like obviously Will hasn't been here in this episode. He'll have his thoughts and his star rating and everything, when he's back on next time. But until then, Donnie, I guess I'll toss it to you first. What's your star rating on this one?
You've already said it. This is a classic. Tons of memories, watching this, seen it several times. Still enjoy it. I'm going to settle in at about 3.25.
All right, Smoke, what do you say?
Yeah, it was nostalgic because, like I said, I haven't seen it since probably the early 90s at the last time, more than or late 80s. So it was kind of watching it, I remember, I remember this part. I remember the song. I hadn't heard that song in a while.
Which one? The Meatball.
I'd forgotten about that song, but then when you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah. That was like just rattling somewhere. Just needed to be brought back to the surface. So, yeah, it was brought back good memories. And it, like you said, it holds up as a comedy these days. Pretty much echoing Donnie's rating on it, 3.25. But I'm going to go with 2. It's cool to see Bill Murray at his first first major feature-length film role. Oh, which I meant to mention this earlier, too. John Belushi is the one that talked him into that. To actually accepting, you should do this. You'll be starring the role. You'll be starring in your own film, basically. So you should do this.
One of the selling points or one of the taglines that I saw for this, it might have been on a poster or video. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was basically like, this is Animal House at a summer camp was the quote. So
yeah.
There is some truth to that. There's some good comparisons, although not quite the same. But, you get where they're getting at. There is a selling point.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair enough.
That's, of course, they wanted Landis to do it initially because of Animal House. But.
Yeah, I guess I'm just going to go with you guys, and we'll hold chalk at 3.25. I mean, it deserves it. Something that I grew up watching, it does hold a little bit of sentimental value, so I'll give it a little extra boost there, right? But, I mean, it's just a well-done summer camp movie. I know it came out in 1979, but, a lot of movies that came after this, the summer camp comedies and stuff kind of mimic where this one's coming from. I'm not going to say it was the first, but it was definitely one of the first to really started like kind of a movement with these type of movies, throughout the 80s.
Certainly one of the better ones, I would say.
There is something to be said about like summer camps, and I'm sure we'll get through this throughout the summer here for Camp Spook Show. Like summer camp movies are generally, if you look at them, they're generally horrors or comedies, or a horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Not many
dramas.
There are some, but not as many as horrors or comedies or horror comedies. So I think it's a good mix that we have here with the Cult Corner, and of course, we'll see what comes out of Cannon Fodder with Camp Spook Show. We haven't decided what we're going to land on for that one yet, because it doesn't look like Cannon made too many summer camp movies. So
it really, from what we can tell, it boils down to 2 movies that really just
and those are loose. Like those aren't necessarily directly summer camp movies. Those are just kind of
they're just like
teen comedy type.
And it's
maybe
should we say the 2?
What was it? Hot Chili and something else.
Hot Chili and Hot Resort.
Yeah, hot resort. So yeah,
I mean, what do you do?
Unless we find something else, it's probably going to end up being one of those two for cannon fodder.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll find out some way to come to a decision on that one, but it'll be one of those.
We'll probably spin the wheel.
Yeah, probably. So spin the wheel for two choices, but yeah, we'll figure something out. But we got until July to figure that out. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there for now, and we'll get Will's thoughts and his star rating on this one. But until we completely move on to next week.
Donny, where's the cult connections? Come out and play!
I mean, I've heard it before. I know, but still.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this just keeps going too. So
yeah, I know it does. I know it keeps going. So no, we were kind of talking about this before the show, but so there wasn't anybody from the cast. There was no previous connect, and basically what we do with the cult connections, crap connections, with the crypt connections, we take the current movie and then we try to find any cast or crew members that have been in past Spookshow episodes, and we connect those, to the current film. No one on the cast for Meatballs, but we did have, well, I guess you could call two, crew, but the first one is going to set up the second one, which I didn't have the second one. Like Josh actually found the second one, but the first one is the composer for an American Werewolf in London, Elmer Bernstein. So he was the composer for Meatballs, and as well as an American Werewolf in London. And Josh, you want to say what the second one is, since you found it?
It's also connected to An American Werewolf in London, and that's the star, David Naughton. Wrote a track for the movie. I'm blanking on I just had it. Making It? I think that was the name of it.
Yeah, Making It.
Yeah, we were listening to it briefly before. It was that, I think it was in that scene in the movie when they had their little social dance. And, Bill Murray's out there dancing to the song, and it was Making It. Yeah, that was sang and, I guess, put together by David Naughton, the star of An American Werewolf in London. So that was an interesting connection.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But it makes sense with the composer being, also from the same movie.
And I'm not sure if it was a huge hit or anything, but I think that did get some radio play and was actually a little bit of a hit for the time when this came out. And the soundtrack was pretty interesting too, simply because, the one that we talked about off the top, that Meatballs by Rick Dees. But you also had David Naughton doing that. I mean, and Are You Ready for the Summer? That was the North Star Camp Kids chorus. So I guess they got those kids together to sing that song that, that's played a number of times. And there's a couple other tracks by Terry Black and CIT song. That was, the song that they sang, the counselors or whatever at the end. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the soundtrack actually did fairly well too, for considering for the time. So. And that song by David Naughton actually made it on the Billboard. Yeah. It looks like Billboard number 5. Made it up to number 5 in the charts at some point. So, yeah. And Good Friend by Mary McGregor. That one actually charted on the Billboard charts, too, at number 39. So, yeah.
I wonder if that's the one. I don't know if that's the one, but we were talking about this before the show. There was some song that seemed out of place for a camp. It's very sort of slow and melancholic and all that. I said it kind of reminded me of some lady walking down the street in New York City in the 70s, window shopping.
that could have been it. That could have been the one. I mean, that, like I said, that did chart.
I don't remember it by name, but that's the only other one in there that didn't have that summertime vibe, I don't think.
Maybe that's what Rudy listened to that bummed him out so much.
He was just fucking depressed by Mary McGregor.
God damn it.
Yeah. I noticed that too. Every time he was on the screen, well, until him and Bill Murray started hitting it off at the camp. Before that, every time he was on the screen, the somber music would come on too in the soundtrack.
You instantly just get depressed as soon as Rudy shows up.
It's like Debbie Downer.
Damn you, Mary McGregor. Now, Mary McGregor was actually famous for, she was, or I should say, best known for singing this, the song that came out 3 years prior to that, Torn Between Two Lovers, one of Donnie's favorites. Torn Between Two Lovers. That was All right, so next week we're going to be returning back to our horror reviews with episode 113. I don't know if that's as unlucky a number as the number 13. I guess 113 is all clear, right? Who the fuck knows? But anyways, this was my choice. this time around, and finally I got to choose an old one. So I decided to go for one of the bigger ones, as far as like, a summer camp slasher or whatever. And I chose The Burning from 1981. So here's the brief IMDb synopsis. A former summer camp caretaker, horribly burned from a prank gone wrong, lurks around an upstate New York summer camp bent on killing the teenagers responsible for his disfigurement. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I don't think... I know Will hasn't seen it. Smoke, I'm not even going to ask you. I know you've seen it a dozen times. But, Donnie, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times, actually. This is definitely one of the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've seen it, but it's been a long time, so this is going to be almost fresh for me. It's been so damn long. So
yeah, it has been a long time for me as well, but I do recall it.
I'm looking forward to it. So that'll be next week as we continue through our Camp Spook Show series here for the remainder of the summer, and we'll let you know as the weeks go by what else we've got planned, because after that is a Spook Show Spotlight, so we haven't quite figured out what the topic is going to be to wrap up the month of June, and then that'll lead us up to Donnie's choice on the 4th of July. So we'll see what he's got planned, what he's got rolled up his sleeve there.
Yeah, I'm currently looking at the list.
Yeah,
so
you've got one of the newer ones too, so that's going to make it even more interesting. But yeah, so there you go. So hopefully, like I said, Will be here next time. He'll give his thoughts here for Meatballs, and hopefully he's here for The Burning. Just remember, every Monday, 6 p.m. East, this is where you'll find the podcast. Go over to our YouTube channel, patreon.com/AASpookshow for bonus stuff. Go to the Linktree link down in the show notes for all that. So for Will, who couldn't be with us, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show Podcast, and we will talk to you next week as we continue Camp Spook Show.
It's now 9:30, and that's lights out time. 9:30, as you know. Tomorrow is Parents' Day, and you must look rested or Morty will be sent to the state penitentiary.